Hi, Terry Stingley, the wine guru, back again with my good friends here at Promeny Cafe Olive and Wine, and we're going to do a little fun, informative wine thingy this morning concerning Old World wines and New World wines. There's a couple of distinctions that wine lovers that we are concerned about when we go to purchase wine from a retailer or in a restaurant. One of the most important for me personally is whether I'm going to have an Old World wine or a New World wine. The reason that the distinction is important is because Old World wines, as good as they are, and here we have some examples of Old World wines. Old World wines are European. That's the wines of Europe, including the Big Four: France, Italy, Spain, and Germany. But other regions certainly fall into that category, including the wines of Hungary, which we'll talk about in a moment, the wines of Portugal, Austria, Switzerland, etc. So anything from Europe is considered Old World, and that kind of makes sense since they've been making wine a lot longer than the New World. So the New World is anything else outside of Europe, including the wines of South America, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, etc. So we have those here on the right, some of the New World wines, and you'll see an Argentinian wine lined up here because it falls into that category, even though we might think, well, that's kind of an old society and culture down there. It still is a New World wine because it's not European. One of the reasons that the distinction is important is because it has a lot to do with food. In the Old World of Europe, food is the king, or the queen for that matter. It is what dining is all about. The wine, as good as it is, and it can be spectacular as we know, is still secondary to the food. So, by design, the wines are lower alcohol, which means we can sit and have several glasses or several bottles of wine with our extended friends and family. And there's acidity levels tend to be higher in those Old World wines, which means that between each bite of that great, wonderful food in Europe, our palates are being scrubbed clean, the acidity is scrubbing it clean, so it's like every new bite of food is brand new, perfect, and marries so well with the wine. So the wine is in the background in the Old World wines, lower alcohol, slightly higher acidity. New World wines, by comparison, tend to be higher alcohol, in some cases much higher alcohol, and they're more fruit forward, so they have less acidity. So that fruit forward thing is what we come to recognize as a New World feature in wine. There's a lot of fruit on the front palate. The alcohol levels are higher. The acidity isn't quite as high. So they can be a little harder to pair foods with. Not always, but they can be. They can be a little bit more challenging. These Old World wines are specifically meant to be with food. So when I go to a restaurant and I know I'm going to be dining, I typically will choose an Old World wine over a New World wine just for that reason, that it's going to be really great with my meal. When I'm sitting on the back deck with friends and family and guests, then I'm usually pouring a New World wine, light snacks, etc. So stuff like that. So those are the distinctions. That's why we want to pay attention to Old World and New World wines. Thanks.